Hi. So the day 4 of this Headingley test is over, and even after 4 days we still don't know which team between India and England looks to be the clear favourites to have the last laugh tomorrow and win this first and crucial first test at Headingley. The reason for that is the game has been moving like a pendulum from one team to the other throughout the 4 days. But the fact also remains is that it is India which is entirely or to a large extent predominantly responsible for letting that pendulum to shift. England hasn't have to do a lot of things. It's India which has been grabbing the momentum and the initiative with their fabulous batting by their top order, only to lose this initiative, surrender the initiative by exhibiting some of the monumental collapses of their lower middle order and tail enders. If you see in the first innings, they were 430 for 3 and looked set to score at least 525, which would have put the game completely in their control. But from 430 for 3, they lost 7 wickets for 41 runs to get dismissed for 471. That kept England in the game and in the test match. And again in the second innings, at 333 for 4, they looked set to reach at least 400 to 420. That would have given England a target of 420 to 425, and then that could have really put England under pressure, because for any team to win a fourth innings match or to chase down 420 plus in a fourth innings, it would be a monumental task, especially if in the bowling lineup you have somebody like Jasprit Bumrah who can take wickets as per his will against any batter. So England, with his fast ball and confident approach, would have been feeling the jitters under the pressure if they would have to chase around 420 to 425 runs in the fourth innings. But nothing of that sort happened. India from 333 for 4 lost 6 for just 31 runs to get all out for 364, and that left England with a target of only 371. And when that kind of a target is given, you don't need 2 to 3 batters to really play big innings. You just need one batter to score under around 150 to 160. Then the rest of the batters can just rally around with a small amount of runs, and you can easily win. Whereas for 420, 425, you need at least 2 to 3 batters to play some big innings. So that is the advantage now England has got, that they know that they just need one batter to put pressure, and the other batter on the other side can even do small contribution, and then they can march towards the target. And the positive thing also for them is that they had a very critical 40 minutes to negotiate, and that included around 3 overs from Bumrah, and they managed to do so pretty well to end the high pressure fourth day at 21 for no low. That means they have already erased 21 runs out of that target of 371, and that means they just have 350 runs to chase in the entire 90 overs tomorrow. And it also means that now the time factor or the over factor have gone out of the equation, unless the inclement weather comes into the picture. Otherwise, there is now no impact of time or overs, because even a normal batting side today would be more than happy to chase down 350 runs in 90 overs, because it is not even 4 runs per over. And considering the kind of fast ball approach England takes, run rate is never going to be an issue, overs will never be an issue. So now it will all come down to Indian bowlers being able to take 10 wickets, and whether they can take those 10 wickets before that 350 runs are chased down tomorrow. If they manage, then India will have a fantastic win, and if they fail, then England will walk away as the winner and will have a high psychological point to score over India, because the kind of batting collapses their second rung bowling has managed to do in India's both innings. Now, if we go back to the entire fourth day, the day has been a little bizarre, especially because of India's own making. The day started with the conditions slightly in favor of bowling. It was a little challenging. There was a little bit of cloud. The ball was doing a little bit of deviation. but India had come with a fantastic game plan because they knew that the pitch was a little tricky and all they wanted to do was to beat their time, because they knew that the first session they could always be a little conservative, and then once the weather conditions would improve and they would also have piled on a few runs to be in a little comfortable position, then they had batters like Pant who could change the complexion of game with his stroke play at any time. And the most important thing going for India in that first session was that they were lucky to have Rahul, whose compactness, whose technical finesse, his grit, his ability to play under heavy pressure against some really challenging bowling attack under some difficult conditions like the Sena countries, all came into the picture. And then it was fantastic that he was there to negotiate the English bowlers. So he just absorbed the pressure, soaked up the pressure, and completely neutralized the English bowlers from one end without giving any chance to them to feel that they could just run over Indian batting. Pant, in his own imitable style, initially tried to hit out from trouble and hit out and put pressure against English bowlers, but then very soon he realized those conditions it was not possible for him to hit his way out and escape by scoring heavy. The risk was too much. So then later he moderated his innings and tried to add a good mix of defense and aggression to beat his time, and so that's how they ended. After, even though India was a little under pressure after losing their captain on the 7th ball of the day when Subman Gill dragged one into the stumps, but then this fantastic approach of approach mixed with defense and aggression helped India to somehow manage without any damage or any loss in the first session. And they might have added only 63 runs, but those 63 runs were priceless because they gave a safety buffer to the team, because they were always adding total to the target. At the same time, they only lost one wicket that crucial first session. And when the second session started, the weather had cleared up, it was sunny, the ball had got softer, pitch had nothing to offer, the bowlers were getting little tired, and then Pant took over. While Rahul continued to accumulate runs and play with a lot of confidence, Pant went berserk and started hitting every bowler to all sides of the park. And very soon he came very close to catching up with Rahul. So finally Rahul achieved his milestone of a brilliant century. It is one of the best centuries under pressure in not very easy conditions, at least in the morning session, and he stuck around and he played and he served his country. That's the most important thing by that knock, without trying to be flamboyant or without trying to be impatient and all. So he played his innings for the country, and then the century came naturally. That's what was so great about his century. So a fabulous century again in a Sena country, and now that should bury all the doubts about those detractors who think Rahul has been getting too many chances without deserving. On the other hand, Pant is Pant. So once he started getting a knack of how to score runs in that pitch and how to put pressure, he went berserk, and then he started scoring runs and boundaries at will. Ultimately, he created havoc among the bowlers with his sixes and boundaries, and it needed a real slog against a bowler to give his wicket away when he took that chance against Bashir. But by that time he had scored 118, which gave him a distinction of many milestones. He became the first ever Indian batter to score 2 centuries in the same test in England. He also became the second wicket keeper ever in the world after Andy Flower to score centuries in both innings of a test match. So he had been creating milestones. He has been doing fabulously well, and also in a difficult country like England, he has had now 4 centuries, which many top order batsmen struggle to achieve. So he has been superb, and he showed what a great asset he is, along with being a wicket keeper, along with his batting. So all the kudos to him and to Rahul, and they almost took India to a position where it looked India were firm favourites. In fact, 45 minutes after tea break, India looked as firm favourites. But then the notorious, infamous batting collapse which India has been having in the last 2 seasons in many crucial tests, which has resulted in a few heartbreaking losses, once again came back to haunt India. So in the first innings, they had lost 7 wickets for 41 runs to lose last 7 wickets one stage they were 430 for 3 and they lost 7 wickets for 41 to get dismissed for 471, where they should have at least reached 525, and that would have kept the game completely under their control. They allowed that collapse to blow away the initiative and gave a chance to England to be in the contest. In the second innings at 333 for 4, they looked well capable of reaching around 420, which could have given them a target, which could have set a target for 426 for England, and that could have been really difficult. But then they lost 6 wickets for just 31 runs to surrender the initiative, and now have given England a target of around 371, which is a formidable target, but not an out and out winning target, because everybody would remember the Edgbaston Test of 2022, where India had a massive lead in the first innings, but then they could only set a target of 378 for England, and England managed to chase down under very flat conditions, with losing only 3 wickets thanks to some great innings by Bairstow and Root. And England continues to play that baseball cricket, continues to play that aggressive cricket, and continues to play with that positive attitude. So that would put Indian team and also fans under a little bit of pressure and anxiety, because England, if any team is capable of actually making that 371 look a little too simple and too easy, that's that England team. Because if they manage to have a good start and they continue to plunder runs, and if Indian support bowling continues to struggle the way they did in the first innings, then England has a real chance. And if that happens, everything will come down to that one bowler which India has, the India savior in many such games, that is Jasprit Bumrah. India would expect him to again replicate his role, what he has been doing in the BGT and also in so many tests, and once again come to the party and should take 5 to 6 wickets to destroy England. And that is the only way to stop England, because only by taking wickets India can stop England, not by bowling economically or trying to contain them without taking wickets. So if that is going to happen, then Bumrah has to have breakthrough in every spell of his, because he's already bowled around 28 overs in this test, and tomorrow is going to be another hectic day for him, because India is going to depend on him massively. So if he is going to bowl a 4 to 5 over spell, so in the beginning, that spell in the first hour in the morning is going to be so crucial. India would definitely want Bumrah to take a wicket, or ideally take 2 wickets. And England, if they are not going to do the kind of harakiri they have been doing of late, especially in the first innings with the kind of shots Pope played, or even Brook tried against Bumrah at 0, if they play with a little bit of smartness, rather than getting carried away by that tag of baseball or ego or arrogance or whatever, then they can easily make it much more safer for them, because all they need to do is that they can continue to play aggressively against the support bowlers of India, who are already under pressure because of their poor performance in the first innings. But at the same time, they can give a little respect to Bumrah, try to survive against him, because Bumrah can only bowl 4 to 5 overs in a spell. So it's a question of 24 to 30 balls. They can try to avoid doing any foolishness and try to give a little respect to Bumrah and save or preserve their wickets. Then Indian bowlers would be in real trouble and real pressure, because the pressure would get out of their England batting, and India would not be knowing which bowler to then bank upon. Unless Siraj or Prasidh Krishna show tremendous improvement from the first innings, then India can have a chance. Otherwise, India would be under real pressure if Bumrah is managed or negotiated or countered or neutralized well by England. Of course, the only difference between first innings and second innings would be that Jadeja will have a role to play, hopefully, because it's a 5th day pitch and it is not a 2nd day or 3rd day pitch where England had to bat, and Jadeja was less effective because you don't expect too much spin in the 2nd or 3rd day. So hopefully the rough outside the off stump of the left-handers will come into picture, and Jadeja will be able to exploit and put pressure. But let's be very clear, this pitch is not a real turning pitch. It is not showing too much of deviation for a spinner, so it is not misbehaving also. Pitch is pretty decent, good for batting. So unless there is a lot of cloud, unless England does a lot of harakiri, unless the Indian support bowlers come to party, or unless Jadeja come out as a real winner, then India's only hope would be Bumrah, and Bumrah has to click and Bumrah has to strike in every spell. England would be well aware of India's plan, and all England has to do is to play a little smartly and intelligently, and then they can put pressure once the first session is over without too much of damage. So yes, a very important day is coming up tomorrow, and the first session and the first spell of Bumrah is going to be very important, and that most probably will set the tone and decide which way this game is going to tilt. So we could be in a position to maybe finally tell which team is going to be the hot favorites to win after the first spell of Bumrah or after the first session. So till then, let's wait. Thank you.